Breaking news, there's been a third coronavirus-related death reported in Hawaii.
There are alarming new numbers as the coronavirus pandemic ramps up in the nation's hotspots. I'm Naomi Ruckham with how this field hospital in Manhattan is adjusting to the rise in cases.
We did what we were supposed to. We would have been okay, but people have not taken it seriously.
Authorities confirm Moloka'i's first COVID-19 case, and the patient is currently hospitalized on Oahu.
How many times have we been dumped on?
We'll tell you why protesters gathered at the Waianae police station this morning over coronavirus concerns.
Health officials in many U.S. cities are now asking people to cover their faces while they're out in public. I'm Elise Preston with more on the change in guidance.
These stories plus classes in session at Hogwarts coming up on This Is Now.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Now. Thanks for watching. I'm Jonathan, your director-producer, alongside Ashley. We want to begin today with new details from the Department of Health in the state regarding our state's third coronavirus-related death.
The family of an elderly man who tested positive for COVID-19 after returning from Washington state last month confirms the man has died of the disease. The family identified the patient as 76-year-old Art Whistler, a well-known ethnobotanist in the state and an avid tennis player. Whistler was just the second confirmed case of coronavirus in Hawaii. Health officials say he got sick on March 2nd and returned to Honolulu from Seattle on March 4th. On March 7th, an ambulance took him from his home to Kaiser Moanalua, where he has been hospitalized before passing away. Meanwhile, the number of coronavirus cases has soared over 300, now standing at 319. The numbers from the health department are a little confusing today. The department is reporting 34 new cases. However, the breakdown by county shows there are 31 new cases on Oahu, 9 new cases in Maui County, and 2 new cases on Hawaii Island. That's obviously more than 34, so we'll ask DOH for clarification on that. Maui Mayor Mike Victorino also announced the first coronavirus case in the rural town of Hana. Victorino says the female resident received a positive test result this morning. Health officials are also reporting 78 people have now been released from isolation.
Man, a lot of new developments there. We posted all those details. We know there was a lot there on our H&N digital platforms. That's our app and .com. But we also want to move along now to the developments happening on the mainland and nationally. There are now more than 250,000 confirmed COVID-19 cases in the United States and more than 6,900 deaths. Many of those in the hotspots like New York. Naomi Ruckham has a report that she just filed from that epicenter. Let's listen to what she had to say.
Healthcare professionals in Manhattan held up photos Friday of fellow workers who have fallen to coronavirus. It's one of many protests nationwide demanding more equipment.
As of Friday of last week, our unit provided us an N95 mask. The catch was we get a brown paper bag and we put our used mask in that bag to be reused again.
The situation is so dire, the temporary field hospital set up at Manhattan's Javits Center will now treat COVID-19 patients. The military is in control of the facility here at the Javits Center, and you may notice I'm covering my face. That's because New York is the latest city to urge everyone to cover their mouths and noses while in public because people without symptoms can transmit the disease. Louisiana is one of a handful of states with more than 10,000 confirmed cases, many in New Orleans. The state says it's trying to get more ventilators.
We've got 150 from the national stockpile. We appreciate that. Nowhere near the number that we're ultimately going to need, however.
And in Florida, 2 Holland America cruise ships have docked at Port Everglades. More than a dozen passengers who needed immediate medical assistance were already transferred to nearby hospitals. Passengers cleared for travel started taking charter planes back home. The process should take a few days.
I will tell you the people on the ships have been extremely supportive. They just want to get home.
Some passengers will be staying behind on the Zaandam cruise ship. Those who are too sick to travel but are not in critical condition will continue to be treated on board. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
Back here at home, we told you Molokai has its first case of coronavirus. The hospital on the Friendly Isle only has 15 beds. 12 nurses, and a few ventilators. More now from Chelsea Davis.
I was at a store here on Molokai called Friendly Market. A person was an employee.
Molokai Representative Lindy Coit says that employee did go into work after returning from Las Vegas, then tested positive for COVID-19. The island's main supermarket has now been shut down until further notice.
We don't have a commercial disinfectant company to come and do cleaning. The outreach would be to, of course, to you folks on the neighbor island, because that store houses the bulk of our supplies, our goods. The company themselves want to make sure that if they are to reopen, that the store is thoroughly clean and that COVID-19 cannot pick up and be activated if it isn't properly cleaned.
Nearby Misaki's closed its doors as well, out of an abundance of caution.
The question being is, has the spouse, the added family members, all, where have they been? My issue with this is Friendly Market Center, along with Misaki's, are probably the two bigger stores that are located central in Kaunakakai town.
Government officials are now begging residents to follow the state's mandates.
People are scared. Our island is small. Our facilities are small. We cannot handle a surge here.
If we stayed home and we listened and we did what we were supposed to, we would have been okay. But people have not taken it seriously.
I'll ask the Molokaians across the board to hunker down, stay at home, try not to gather at all in any areas. It's a resident that returned that brought the COVID-19 to your doorsteps. Please get serious. This is serious for all of us. We don't know the residual effects yet.
That was Chelsea Davis reporting. Now, school officials say to be extra careful. They're suspending the free grab-and-go meals at Molokai High School for now. Also, Molokai General Hospital is offering drive-through testing today at the Paul G. Stevens Outpatient Clinic from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's by appointment only, so call that number on your screen. It's 553-3121. Here on Oahu, about 20 people gathered outside the HPD substation in Waianae early this morning. They were protesting after former state representative Andrea Tupola said police were considering transferring arrestees from around the island to that site if they tested positive for COVID-19 or are showing symptoms. Now, Tupola made the claim on Facebook Live late last night.
How many times have we been dumped on? How many times have we been used as this holding place for whatever's going on the island because supposedly we can handle? I'm going to say it one more time. They are transferring all positive COVID-19 cases and those who have symptoms, all the arrestees from different stations on Oahu, they're transferring them over to Waianae Police Station.
Now, in a statement, Police Chief Susan Ballard said they were looking at ways to house infectious detainees as part of the department's overall emergency response plan, and that HPD has decided to keep detainees in the same facility where they were booked for now. She says these individuals will be kept in separate cells away from others, and the use of personal protective equipment and sanitation will take place. Ballard says they're working with the mayor's office to obtain federal funding to retrofit the cell block at the main station and other locations to be determined.
Now, Mayor Kirk Caldwell yesterday came out encouraging everyone to start wearing a mask if they go outside. Let's hear what he had to say at a press conference.
Now, we're not asking you to go wear a N95 mask or a surgical mask. In fact, we're saying don't use those masks. Those are to protect our medical professionals and our first responders. And there's a shortage, and we need to make sure there's sufficient numbers.
Now, if you remember, at first, they weren't really requiring this or requesting this or advising this. Now, even the CDC, literally about an hour ago, came out recommending that Americans cover their face when they go outside. Let's turn it over to Elise Preston. She filed a story about the changing guidance.
We're advising New York.
Mayors from major cities, including New York and Los Angeles, are now urging residents to cover their noses and mouths if they must go out in public in the coronavirus pandemic.
We want to make sure that anyone who doesn't have to get it doesn't get it. So face covering is just a simple way to protect other people and to reduce the speed of that community spread.
Dr. David Agus is a CBS News medical contributor. He says the change in thinking about covering our faces comes from more understanding of this new virus.
the days before you get symptoms, you can spread the virus, and also people never have symptoms. Those people from the droplets in their mouth when they breathe or cough can spread the virus. What it does is it protects other people, so you won't spread the virus, even if you don't know you have it.
This new guidance doesn't mean you should cover up with a medical grade mask. You can use any type of cloth like a bandana or scarf.
Notice I haven't called them masks. That's because N95 and other medical grade masks like surgery masks are reserved for medical workers like doctors and nurses. And using an N95 mask yourself, if you're not one of them, could cost a doctor or a nurse their life.
And health officials emphasize other basic hygiene remains critical now more than ever. Wash your hands constantly, cover your cough and sneeze, and stay home, especially if you're sick. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
Now, while many states are complaining about shortages of personal protective equipment for their healthcare workers, fortunately, right now, Hawaii's supply seems to be in good shape. As Allison Blair reports, the latest shipment from the federal government just arrived.
Emergency management officials say supplies from the federal government aren't coming in all at once. They're being sent in batches. Personal protective equipment is also being purchased commercially. In mid-March, officials placed 2 large orders for personal protective equipment with the anticipation those supplies would last 6 months. Shipments have been coming in sporadically. The latest arrived just yesterday from the federal government's Strategic National Stockpile. We're told so far they've received about 25% of the total order.
Would I love to have it all today? Of course, we'd love to have it all today. The good, important news is our hospitals have what they need at the moment, and these guys get it out to them as soon as they possibly can.
Along with purchasing PPE commercially, the state's tapping into its own stockpile.
Surgical masks as well as N95 masks.
Emergency management officials say they have changed the way they distribute supplies to hospitals. Instead of handing out several weeks' worth of PPE at one time, it's being doled out in smaller amounts.
When you don't have an unlimited supply of PPE, we have to have a process in order to ensure that we can fairly and appropriately try to protect our providers.
Allison Blair, Hawaii News Now.
On Capitol Hill, the Supreme Court says it will postpone arguments scheduled for April because of the pandemic, but the court isn't ruling out hearing some arguments within months. Today's announcement means a total of 20 arguments scheduled for March and April have now been postponed. That includes fights over subpoenas for President Trump's financial records. The court says it will consider rescheduling some cases before the end of the term if it is necessary.
I want to turn it over to the UK now. Prime Minister there, Boris Johnson, gave us an update on his condition after, of course, he was diagnosed with COVID-19. He gave this update using his cell phone or computer, it looks like, while in isolation. Let's hear what he had to say.
Hi, folks. Quick update from me on the campaign against coronavirus. First of all, in my own case, although I'm feeling better and I've done my 7 days of isolation, alas, I still have one of the symptoms, a minor symptom of I still have a temperature, and so in accordance with government advice, I must continue my self-isolation until that symptom itself goes. But we're working clearly the whole time on our program to defeat the virus. You'll have seen the big announcement yesterday about 100,000 tests per day by the end of the month. And I just want to say one crucial thing, one quick thing to everybody thinking about this weekend and what may be some fine weather, because I reckon a lot of people will be starting to think that this is all going on for quite a long time, and they'd rather be getting out there, and particularly if you've got kids in the household, everybody may be getting a bit stir crazy, and there may be just a temptation to get out there, hang out, and start to break the regulations. And I just urge you not to do that.
Boris Johnson there, echoing what so many officials are telling us all. Hey guys, even if it's nice weather out there today, tonight, or this weekend, stay inside, and that's going to go on for weeks to come.
Sailors on the USS Theodore Roosevelt, that's the aircraft carrier where more than 100 crew members are infected with the virus, gave their commander a hero's send-off in Guam.
And that's how you send out one of the greatest captains you ever had.
Captain Brett Crozier was relieved of command for a memo warning Navy leadership that action was needed to save the lives of his crew. Navy Secretary Thomas Maudley said Thursday Crozier showed extremely poor judgment and disseminated the memo too widely. The information was published in the San Francisco Chronicle, but Maudley said he has no indication that Crozier leaked the memo. He faulted Crozier for going outside the chain of command and sending the memo over an unsecured system, adding to the chances of a leak. The Navy says nearly 1,000 personnel were off the ship and 2,700 were expected to be off in the next couple of days. More than 130 sailors on board the Roosevelt have tested positive for coronavirus.
Now to one of the most biggest ripple effects from this pandemic. Some 160,000 residents of our state alone have filed for unemployment in the last month.
Wow.
That's nearly 1/4 of the state's workers.
Wow.
That's some really staggering numbers.
Yes.
This also marks the official end to the nation's record hiring streak. So let's check in with a reporter who filed a story on this. This is Michael George. He talked to some of the workers who were dealing with this.
3 days ago, Amanda Shower got the call she'd been dreading.
It all happened really fast, and she said, tomorrow you're not going to be working.
Amanda works in sales for a fashion company in Manhattan. Now she's one of nearly 10 million Americans filing for unemployment.
I'm okay. I'm trying to remain calm. Like I was talking to my dad and he was like, don't panic. Like you're one of millions of Americans that this is happening to.
In March, the country's unemployment rate climbed 0.9% to 4.4%. The leisure and hospitality industries alone lost 459,000 jobs. And those numbers missed the coronavirus closures that swept across the country in the second half of the month. A record 6.6 million new unemployment claims were filed just last week, adding to more than 3 million filed the previous week.
4 weeks ago, we had the greatest economy in the history of the world, the greatest in the world, greatest in the history of the world.
CBS News financial analyst Jill Schlesinger says there's no historical precedent for so many Americans losing jobs so fast.
This is like a once-in-a-generation flood that hits the economy. And right now, those floodwaters, they are still rising.
Millions of unemployed workers are now trying to cope with a new reality.
It's really a time to get back to basics. It's about looking at your cash flow and prioritizing your bill.
Experts expect the ranks of the unemployed to keep growing, with much of the country under stay-at-home orders for at least the next several weeks. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
If you bought an airline ticket through Delta and you need to cancel your trip, you will have plenty of time to rebook. Delta's tickets normally expire 1 year after purchase, but the carrier announced today it's giving travelers through May 2022 to use the credit for future flights. This move is the latest sign that airlines expect this decline in travel to linger for a while. Newer tickets bought since March 1st can be changed without a fee for up to a year from the date of purchase.
All right, the Board of Education came out yesterday. I think you did this story, right, on our evening newscast. Their requirements for graduation have been modified. So this morning, we sent our Casey Lund out to talk to students. He talked to some of them on FaceTime, actually, about what that means to them.
Yesterday's decision by the Board of Education essentially allows principals at individual schools to make the decision for modified graduation requirements. It's bittersweet news because thousands of high school seniors across the islands still don't know whether they'll be able to walk at commencement ceremony this spring. Administrators are waiting until the last possible moment to cancel commencement ceremonies. That decision should be made by April 15th, but things aren't looking good. Students have already been looking into digital alternatives.
I looked up, I think it was yesterday, what a virtual graduation looks like. And so there is one school that did one on Minecraft, and I was like, well, I don't have a Minecraft account, but if that's the only graduation I'm going to get, I'll make one Minecraft account.
I spoke with student leaders at Mililani High School about life in quarantine and the way they're trying to stay positive through all of this. Student Body Vice President Nolan Acosta says he'll understand and respect the decision to cancel commencement if it has to be made. But there is one part of the ceremony he was really looking forward to.
The lei ceremony, especially in what, get all the leis and everything. But, if this virus continues to grow, we might not have that, one-on-one close experience. But I think, just trying to make the best out of it.
These students say they're impressed and grateful for the way the Department of Education has been handling the situation.
The DOE is really trying to make sure that they really lay out the problems and issues that they have to figure out within this situation, and they're really taking their time to see how it would impact us as students and even the teachers that work within the DOE. I think they're really taking the time to fully encompass what's going on and not rushing anything and doing the best that they can.
In the meantime, students and teachers at Mililani are stepping up to do their part. The robotics team is repurposing their 3D printer to manufacture supplies for PPE at local hospitals. The first batch of face shields and handmade surgical masks goes out today. Now, for high school seniors that are not on track to graduate, the district says they will be allowed to make arrangements to either do online courses or summer school to get their high school diploma. At Mililani High School, I'm Casey Lund, Hawaii News Now.
My heart just breaks for this class 2020 because, graduation is such a big tradition here in Hawaii. Jonathan, I know you didn't go to high school here, but it's, it's something you really look forward to, all the lei, all your family and friends. It's such a great experience, but I'm so proud of how mature they're being about this and how understanding they are about the situation.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't even imagine missing such an important milestone. But for me, when we just read that story, class of 2020, that means it's my 20th high school graduation year. So, I don't know. Not to make it about me, but making me feel old, kids. But I really do feel for them. Hopefully they do find some sort of virtual way to celebrate and some virtual way to get those lei stacked over your head.
Exactly.
So, all right, moving on with some Harry Potter fan news.
Yep, so many schools across the world are out for the year, but class is in session at Hogwarts. Author J.K. Rowling is trying to help make some homeschooling a little more magical as millions spend most of their time in the house. She launched a virtual wizarding world with tons of Harry Potter material for kids to enjoy, and they will be probably learning something too. We aren't talking spells or pranks. The Harry Potter at Home Hub actually features educational games, puzzles, and activities. The first book in the series is also available for free on Audible, so kids can enjoy story time with their favorite boy wizard and his friends. Now, Rowling is also helping teachers who want to engage with their students through virtual learning. She relaxed copyright restrictions so educators can post videos of themselves reading from the Harry Potter series.
All right, hopefully there's some instructions there on how to make the famous butterbeer from the Harry Potter's world. All right, bad joke. Okay, moving on, guys. A very special delivery in New York City, and we're going to tell you how Google data is keeping an eye on who is complying with this social distancing. Here's Nancy Chin.
Google says it will publish users' location data from around the world to show governments how social distancing is working amid the coronavirus pandemic. The information will track movement in 131 countries. It will be available on a special website. 300,000 N95 masks got a police escort to the Jacob Javits Center in New York City Friday morning, the epicenter of the outbreak. New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft brought the masks, along with 1.4 million others, back from China on the team's plane. The Javits Center is being used as a temporary hospital for coronavirus patients. HBO is giving Americans an incentive to stay home. Free streaming of almost 500 hours of movies and TV shows like its hits Barry,
Ronnie,
and Succession.
Cheers.
The network has never before made such a large amount of programming available to those outside its subscribers. The deal lasts until the end of April. And New Yorkers are showing their appreciation for healthcare workers. Every night at their shift change at 7 o'clock, sections of Manhattan near hospitals erupt in cheers, applause, and the banging of pots. Nancy Chen, CBS News, New York.
Amazon Prime is teaming up with Austin's canceled South by Southwest Film Festival to turn the festival virtual.
Cool.
The Film Fest was supposed to happen in real life from March 13th to the 22nd before it was canceled. Now, for filmmakers who opt in, the films will stream on Amazon Prime for free over 10 days. The dates haven't been set yet, but it will be sometime in late April. All that's required to watch is an Amazon account, not even an Amazon Prime membership.
Oh, excellent. I've been once to the Real Thing in Texas. It's
cool.
Very cool how the city opens up to everyone. So it's cool how Amazon's opening up. All those musicians, so many new talent is found there every year, so it's giving them a chance to make that happen. Alright, celebrity news. Oprah Winfrey is opening her Pocketbook. The billionaire media mogul, also a part-time local resident, announced in a video posted to Instagram she will donate $10 million to the coronavirus relief efforts. $1 million of it will go to the America's Food Fund, a new initiative helping to feed local communities. She's just like one of the latest celebrities to open up her pocketbook. Like we said, we were talking about Bruno Mars yesterday. Other billionaires include Jeff Bezos of Amazon. We're talking about Amazon a second ago. Bill Gates, $100 million. Kylie Jenner also gave $1 million. So, hey, people are opening up their wallets, helping out a bit.
That's great.
So after this, Ashley and I are actually going to go run out and buy some masks because we need some or make some. We were just talking about that. We hope you do the same under all those new guidances that we're receiving about wearing a mask outside. We also have some press conferences coming up this afternoon at 2:30. The governor is speaking. We'll get some updates there, presumably about the latest death that we told you about at the top of this newscast and those new numbers that came out. All right, guys, stay safe this weekend. We'll see you soon.